also with us here on set this time is our international affairs editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Kethevane, let's go back to that withdrawal that it seems to be anyway from Khan Yunis. The Israelis very insistent that it's just strategic, bit of a regrouping for what comes next.
Absolutely. And this does not mean that any part of this war is really winding down. And the first aspect of that is, of course, that the bombings are continuing, and the Israeli army is saying that they're going to keep the possibility of doing some specific targeted raids, maybe even in Khan Yunis, but at least in the south. But yes, this is all about regrouping, about sort of giving a breather to some of these troops that have been on the ground for months now. And why are they regrouping? Of course, the goal seems to be this ground operation in Rafah, this massive ground operation that Benjamin Netanyahu has been talking about now for a few months. And over the past couple of months, he has repeated over and over again that he has approved plans for how that would work, for a possible evacuation first of some of the civilians, and then for the actual operation. But for that, the force posture needs to be in place. And you've seen gradually the number of soldiers in Gaza dwindle. It was about 30,000 back in January. Now it's a few thousand. So they need definitely to regroup, to strategize. You've also seen separately that the Israeli army has canceled most of the leave for some of these soldiers. They're starting to call up some other reservists, and they have said it that they are gearing up for some bigger operations, including possibly Rafah. The question is, when is that going to happen? There's been some reporting in Israeli media talking about the possibility of starting evacuations in the coming week or so, and that could take quite a bit of time to actually go through with. And what you're seeing is basically the sort of strategy that they did when they did the pivot from the north to the south. First, they focused on the north. Then they less publicly started pulling out of the north to refocus in the south. Now you're seeing some of that refocusing probably on Rafah, because that is the ultimate goal. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu said. Nothing will stop us. No pressure. We will go there because his ultimate goal is to wipe out Hamas. And Rafah is seen as the probable biggest stronghold and last holdout of Hamas.
So gearing up for that, but also very aware of what Israel calls the outside threat, thinking here, of course, of Hezbollah and Lebanon and Iran as well.
Absolutely, because while they are, of course, focused on Gaza, they cannot afford to take their eye off the ball when it comes to some of these other threats. And you mentioned the two main ones, that border with Lebanon and Hezbollah. And on that aspect, the Army and the Ministry of Defense very clear that they are reaching a new phase of preparation for possible war at the Lebanese border. Those were the words. And they also put out a statement saying they're moving from defense to attack when it comes to that Lebanese border. So it's very specific words that show that they're taking that threat very seriously. And you're seeing the violence at that border actually increase over the past few weeks. And then there is, of course, the Iran threat. That was a broader sort of long-lasting threat. Now it's getting a little bit more specific after that Israeli strike, or alleged Israeli strike in Syria that killed several Iranian Revolutionary Guards. The Iranians saying, we will retaliate. They even specifically said that Israeli embassies around the world are to be threatened, but it could be something else too within Israel. So the Israelis want to be prepared. That's what the defense minister said. He said that they had finished preparation to react to any scenario that could arise regarding Iran, which means Iran itself, but also any of the Iranian proxies.